which what I was going to ask you now. I have got one question and I completely forgot. I was going to ask you the next thing. Well, since we did already one cut, this is going to be my second cut.
Nice.
Hello, and warm welcome to this first interview on the occasion of the concert E-Storm that Duo Signal is going to perform next April the 20th in Basel. And today we have with us the composer Dativo Tobarra. Dativo, how are you doing?
Hi, Nuño. How are you doing?
Very, very fine. It's a pleasure to have you here. I like to start these interviews by asking, how would you introduce yourself to the audience as a creator, as an artist?
I'm a composer, basically, but I consider myself also a sound artist because, yeah, I'm concerned about mainly about sound. So it's not only about creating pieces, but also could be sound installation or whatever. And also, I'm a recording engineer, so it's kind of polyphacetic, but also related to everything with electronics and microphones and speakers and so on.
Yeah, so basically your artistic practices revolve around sound itself, no? And the research on that, we could say
Yeah,
more or less. And
that's it.
cool, then I have to ask then, like, because I mean, I guess that electronics have been a very important part of your work. So I usually ask first how working with electronics has influenced your instrumental writing. Is there something that you are doing when you write for instruments that is coming like influenced or directly from any electronic work that you have done?
Yeah, I just said it's I'm basically work with electronics because it's kind of natural for me because I mean, the first thing that you do when you wake up is like checking your phone. I mean, we are surrounded by technology, so it have to be in my music also. And not, I use electronic, not also like working with in a piece with a instrument and plus electronics or just only electronics or just charismatic music or whatever. It's more my relation with electronics is a bit complex, I could say. For instance, electronics sometimes like reinforce my composition process, or they can give me different points of view, or just give me new ideas on my on the pieces that I work on. It's yeah. But also for the relationship with the instruments. On this piece, for example, is for two acoustical instruments and also electronics. So it's we have a like dialogue between the electronics and the instruments, but also the instruments reinforce the electronics and the other way around. This kind of connections I have in my music has with electronics.
Yeah. But before going into more detail with the piece of the concert, in which way that interaction happens? So not only regarding this piece, but in general. So how both worlds are connected in your pieces, you would say? It is a question of sound, maybe, and how both, I mean, like maybe the instruments are trying to imitate some kind of electronic sound, or how like the electronics are modifying the instruments themselves. So which processes do you usually do?
It's they are related because when I compose, when I'm writing a new piece, I think in terms of sound, and the sound is not just the instrumental sound. It's like a complex or a final sound, and I try to create it between the instruments and the electronics. So it's all together there. And also, for example, using the like huge sound database or data sets in which I can dig in or create new ways, new sounds or new patterns, or integrate these things into my music also. So as you can see, it's like, I mean, every electronics influence my music from every different kind of perspective.
Yes. So also, like in terms of, for instance, uh, ideas, structural ideas, composition techniques, maybe your work with electronics have also influenced this. So not only the kind of sound that you're looking for, but maybe like tweaking around, I don't know, Max MSP or whatever, then all of a sudden you get into an idea that wouldn't have been possible otherwise. Is that so, or?
Of course, and on one side, working with electronics allows me to think on time, not also in bars or in different tempos, or so I can have like a big picture of my music. And electronic working with electronics, not exclusively, not only electronics, but be used to work with electronics help me in that way. And also, as you well said, using different environments like Max MSP. Again, Max MSP is usually like my playground. So
Okay.
it's like I spend a lot of time there, for example, between others, but mainly in Max MSP because it's so easy to do it. And I just mess around with electronics and try to find new sounds, but maybe not also sounds. I found something about the time structure that helped me to build some sections in the piece later. So yeah, that's basically in these two different ways.
Yes. So which ones would you say, in order to summarize, that are your main interests regarding the electronic domain? Which are the things that interest you the most at the moment?
Right now, right now it's of course sound. I'm right into sound, into explore sound, to create new densities, new ways to look to a certain sound, or to find to a certain sound, or maybe to even to achieve a new one. So yeah, that's
And do you do it through synthesis? Do you do it through modifying recordings, or it's uh, a variety of media what you use?
basically modifying sounds, not only modifying them, but also analyze them. And then when you have analyzed, you can choose what part of the sound you want and choose work with a spectrum and work on build some news mixing a spectrum, or yeah, different. I mean, it's kind of infinite in an infinite world, and it's what I do like the most on there. Work on a program encoding on Max MSP, for example, working around with the sounds.
What can you tell us about the piece?
Well, the pitch is based on the basically on a storm, and that idea has been in my mind for a while. And when they told me about the concept of the concert, it was like I have to do it now. It has to be now, and it's based on a process, on a storm, a big storm called cumulonimbus that is like a very huge storm that usually have like electric storm and a lot of wind and yeah, maybe even tornadoes in some cases. So that's the main concept behind the beats, but it's not about like analysis of the process or just take a recording of the process and put it into the score. It's more about the feelings. How do I feel when I watching this storm or when I watching this process? And it was it was very interesting for me because in the cumulonimbus, this we work like with different kind of hot warm air flows,
Mhm.
a lot that is like feeding itself all the time, and this idea was extremely interesting for me. So yeah, that's mainly the concept, the main idea that is behind the piece, but in a different way, I could say it's more about reflections, about colors, about feelings, about exploring this kind of sounds, because you won't hear any rain on the
Yeah.
beat, on
Okay.
the tape or whatever. It's more about horizontality, for example, the calm before the storm. It's more about those ideas related to it.
So it is basically, I mean, it's your more intuitive or more direct approach of what you feel when experiencing that storm. And does that translate somehow in the kind of musical material that you used?
No,
Not
I
really.
mean, the storm.
The
It's
feelings that you
not
have regarding the
the
storm.
feelings. They are, of course,
So I mean,
because the piece
because
is based. Yeah, it's based on intuition. Like in it's there is a high degree of intuition on the piece. So it's not about planification, mainly talking about the form. It's more about feelings, about feelings.
and which kind of sonorities do you have? Are they very violent? Are they very quiet and reflective? Or what can the audience expect from this piece?
We will have both,
Okay.
actually, but mainly the piece is very 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 soft, very quite very um, very tiny sonorities that are reinforced by the electronics. But yeah, for example, you will hear a lot of live processing, but from one pitch only. So the players are sounding one pitch, and then the electronic takes it and creates some stuff, but in a very delicate way. So that will be the most of the time, but also you will have some mess,
Some
some
messages.
some storm in between.
Okay, so the storm explodes at some point in the piece, kind of.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that there's going to be some live processes in the electronic part. Are the electronics only going to be live? Is there also something that is fixed, or how did you work with electronics in this particular piece?
There is a mix in between. Like, there is some tape on the piece, but also a lot of live electronics. Why? Mainly because the function of the electronics. Basically, the tape will create like different layers of complexity during the piece, but the live electronics will allow the interaction between the electronics and the instruments in a very more direct interaction, because I mean, for live electronics, I mean, you need something to sound, and then the electronics react. So it's more intuitive again. It's more direct. So at the end, we have like the three worlds together into the piece, like, instruments playing and the tape sounding sometimes, and then the live electronics reacting to the players.
And which kind of sounds did you use for the tape? Were those like recorded instruments or field recordings or just synthesis?
Mm, the source of the some materials are from the players itself. I mean, I asked Adrián and Alejandro to record some stuff for me, and I have manipulated, and yep, and then I have created the tape. It's I like to do it in this piece. I wanted to do it like that because to kind of emulate or kind of fake a bit the live electronics part also. Why? Because I said that it was like three sources, but at the end it would be like just one. They
Uh-huh.
they they are the main source, despite the manipulation and stuff.
So basically, you tailored this piece to duo signal. It's basically coming from their own sounds, and their own sounds are the ones who are going to be processed live. So I see here that I mean you took quite a lot into account at the time of composing uh, the specific players of the duo. So was there kind of a collaboration between the duo and you when creating this piece, like any kind of dialogue, or as you said that you asked them to send you recordings to process? How was more or less the process of creating this work?
Of course, the communication with the performers when you're writing a new piece is fundamental. To say like it's because otherwise the piece won't have that connection to them. I want also the piece to be them, not only them to play it, but also I want they to feel that they are part of the piece.
Okay.
So of course, the collaboration, the communication, it was kind of fluid, very fluid. So and they help me, of course, with problems. So I propose things, they ask me back with maybe I was right, maybe with different different possibilities. But yep.
Did you left some of the parts of the piece open for them to maybe improvise, or gave them a bit more freedom, or the piece is very carefully written down and quite fixed, and they just kind of like interpret what you've written?
Yep, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Right now, I feel that performers in some music are like very. The music is you have every detail written down in the music. So right now, at least for this piece, I wanted to give them some freedom. That's why if you look at the score, you will see that there is a lot of like time notation. It's not everything completely uh, into bars, whatever.
Hmm.
So I wanted to give them some freedom for also for them to feel. Could say, for example, if they feel that one note or one specific part should last a bit more, a couple of seconds more, they are free to do it. And there are also small, teeny parts of improvisation between the electronics,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's kind of anecdotic. Also, you have very rhythm stuff, so it's like the two worlds coming in together into the piece. But yeah, I wanted to give them freedom.
And then for the fixed media, they trigger that themselves, Or because, I mean, I guess that if they have freedom, they cannot have any kind of click track, not anything. So they are triggering the fixed media.
Yep, that's it. There is different cues through the piece, and they trigger also the fixed media, but also the live electronic processes. So it's the better way in this piece. I believe that is the better way to synchronize between the electronics and the instruments.
Absolutely. So, Dativo Tobarra, thank you very much for granting us this interview. I'm very much looking forward to hearing to your piece next April the 20th.
Thank you very much, Nuño. Pleasure to speak with you.